Hey, this is Sam O'Byrne. I play Harley in Salvage at the Hudson Theater, running now through November 14th. And if you want to know a little more about the play and the process, go ahead and listen to the rest of this conversation. I fell in love with theater. I just read a lot as a kid. I was a very early reader. And when I was young and like in kindergarten, I knew reading from reading aloud. And so I just liked to read out loud as well. And apparently the story goes, we were learning our letters in kindergarten, and I got really bored because I knew all my letters. I was like, what is this? So I just stood up, went to the back of the class, grabbed a book, sat with my back to the teacher and all the children, and just started reading. And apparently one by one, the other kids like came up and just like sat behind me and like listened to me read the story, and I was none the wiser. I don't remember this. This is what I was told later in life. And that just kind of progressed, and I there was some little Christmas pageant, and they were like, does anyone want to read a poem? And put my hand up, and they were like, oh, we need someone who can read. I was like, I can read. It just kind of, it went from there. I really loved being I loved reading so much and all the stories. And when I realized there was a way to be kind of part of that storytelling in a more active context, I never really looked back. When I was young, so I kind of fell in love with acting by going out into my backyard with my brother and my cousins, and we called them body games, but just like kind of doing an amalgamation of all my favorite like pop culture things I was into at the time. So like a little bit of Harry Potter, a little bit of Pokemon, Final Fantasy, and just like playing that in the backyard with like my younger brother and my cousin and Pokemon, and then suddenly Sonic the Hedgehog would appear, and then we'd be casting the Lohomora at that Cloud from Final Fantasy. Just doing all that was so much fun. And I don't know, getting on stage and playing pretend professionally, like it just doesn't feel fair that that's allowed as like a way to orient your life. And I really enjoy like bringing joy to my life, to the lives of others, and I found that theater is such a wonderful way to connect with whatever you're feeling, to bring that to the audience. And it just enriches my life in such a way that it's hard to imagine doing anything else. I think the theater experience is as unique as it is because there is just no substitute for being in the room with somebody as they feel and as they communicate both to each other, but also when they turn towards the audience and allow the audience to see and feel what they are feeling. I mean, when I was in drama school for a lot of my life, and a whole lot of what you're taught is just how to be vulnerable and how to allow yourself to be in a vulnerable place when people are watching and when a lot of people are staring at you. And it's just different, on a movie screen, they're quite literally larger than life. They are blown up to these kind of wild proportions, and they're in these often very heightened and fantastical circumstances and blockbusters and superheroes, and you have people on a stage just trying to be heard. And I just don't think there's a real substitute for that in terms of why it's so dynamic and why it's so kind of electrifying. And the actors on stage feed off the audience, and the audience, in 2021, if you're coming to a play, it's because you want to. There's a whole lot of content out there, and so if you walk into that theater, it's because you want to be there. It's because you want to engage and be part of the process. So often, you find some pretty supportive and receptive houses, which is, I also think a nice part of it is, you got to make the effort to come out these days. You can just sit home and watch YouTube. My process to creating a character is firstly to connect to the character on a personal level. Another thing we learned in drama school, and something that was a real kind of key for me, was what makes characters interesting, and what makes it interesting when you are watching people on stage or on screen is when they're not like generic, when they're unique. And the best way to find, you know, unique quirks and attributes and characteristics is to think about what the heck do I do that's weird and that's a little different. And just trying to imagine myself in those situations that the character is in, and really putting it rather than, you know, I'm walking in somebody else's shoes and there is this other person that I will become. It is more like I'm going to put myself into this character, and then I will be changed as a result of the given circumstances and the backstory and the relationships and all the stuff that make it a character and not me. But I come from it from me first, and I take my own little core of being and place it into this world, and then kind of build from there, rather than think of it as this external thing that I have to like mimic, you know. Then it's just so much less truthful than kind of coming at it more from a personal place first. And then it's fun because it's not me, you know. It just, no, there's a reason I'm not doing one-man shows. Right. So that's kind of how I go about it. I first heard about Salvage, just came in as an audition. And I was lucky in that I had just recently done a different audition for the same casting director, Michael Donovan, who is so lovely. And so I recognized that name. Was like, oh, cool. You know, I liked the project he had just brought me in before. And so that was already a little like, oh, cool. Like I know some people on the team here. And then I read the script. I was like, okay, it's a young folk singer trying to make it in the world of music, which is part of what I'm doing in life. I write and record my own music, and I'm in the process of trying to put that out in the near future. Wow, sorry, it's racetrack outside. But it just was an immediate connection. Like, oh, I know that. I am that. And it's kind of like what I was saying earlier about trying to bring yourself to this character. A lot of people say, you know, this was it's my first professional play outside after school. And a lot of people say your first job is the thing that like only you could play. And I know there's plenty of other folk singers out there. I'm not saying, you know, I necessarily the only one who could have played this part, but it was definitely like, I can do that. I know that, you know, it wasn't this incredible stretch and like, wow, how do I make this happen? It was like, I can do that. I was a little more of like all right, let's make something happen here. So the story of Salvage, without getting too much into the nitty gritty and the spoilers, is a really, really lovely story about a bar and kind of an unnamed, somewhat timeless place in America, but focused. This bar is a kind of relic of an older time in country music and in folk music. And my character Harley has found this bar and realized it is the spot where a man named Floyd Whitaker, kind of a legendary figure in country music in this world, passed away. And I'm on the way to pawn my guitar because I've got a kid on the way, and I feel like my music is not working. I'm not making enough money to support me and my wife. And so I'm about to sell my kind of prized and only real possession of much value, and stumble into this bar because it's very close by to the pawn shop, and end up meeting these two figures kind of from that era, and get kind of entrenched with a man at the bar who only goes by Preacher, who I become very interested in, and he becomes very kind of immediately upset at me and tells me why I am not anything special. And, you know, it just becomes a very interesting and dynamic conversation between me and Preacher and the bartender. And my wife comes to the bar to find me because she's like, what are you doing, dude? Don't sell that guitar. And there's a bunch of beautiful music throughout the show. And what's cool is it's like a play with music, right? It's not necessarily a musical where we suspend disbelief and so one character just breaks out into song, right? It's the characters are musicians. So when they play music, everybody is engaged with it like normal, not like they have just left into the world of musical theater land. Like we're just, you know, I have a song that I want to show you. I want to play you this song. Here we go. Which is a really fun part of the play, part of the process. So the music in Salvage comes from a couple main contributors in Mark Hurd, Pat Terry, and some additional lyrics by our playwright Tim Alderson. And it is really special music that is, the way I've been kind of thinking about it is it's like anti-pretentious. It's very inviting and very kind of, here it is, and take from it what you will. And the words are very arresting, and the melodies are deceivingly simple at first, but they're very just kind of warm and inviting. And it's a really special part of the play in that we don't have to suspend that disbelief. We can just be part of the music together, and the actors and the characters on stage are aware that the music's happening. The audience is part of that moment as well, and it's been such a blast to learn all these tunes. All of my songs, my character songs, are written by Mark Hurd, who passed away a number of years ago, but was roommates with our playwright Tim Alderson. And man, just the absolute love and respect that Tim and our music director, the incomparable Colin Linden, the just absolute love and respect they have for Mark and Mark's music has just been a real honor for me to get in there and really sink my teeth into that process, and just live in that world for a while. I've really been enjoying it. So we've got a really great team working on the project. Damien D. Lewis is the captain of our ship. He is one of the co-heads of the program over at Cal Arts, and he's just, man, the dude is like, I don't even know how to describe it. He is such a calming and this like decisive captain without ever being like obtrusive. He's very welcoming and wants everybody to kind of bring what they have to the table. My fellow castmates in Leonard House, Natalie Urena, and David Atkinson they're just lovely people. That's been the thing, man. Getting to work on theater again, and then with just like nice people. It's been lovely. The first day I was like, oh my God, everybody is so nice. This is going to be so fun. And our music director, Colin Linden, has just this, you got to start with Howlin' Wolf when he was like 15 in Chicago, I'm pretty sure. And since then has just had a career in music, working with all his fellow luminaries, and Bruce Coburn and Dylan and Emmylou Harris and all these people that I grew up listening to because of my mom, who really brought me into the world of music with her love of folk and Americana, and Jackson Browne and James Taylor and all of them, Paul Simon. And Colin's like a lot of people that I mentioned as like heroes of mine. Colin's like, oh yeah, we worked together back in 85 or something. And I'm like, oh my God, no way. So it's been a real joy to work with the team. I definitely want the audience to feel, honestly, I know everybody has had such a rough go at it the last year and a half, 2 years. And if we're gonna get back into the theater, like, I hope you leave with some warm and fuzzies, man. It's been a lack of warm and fuzzies, I think, for a lot of people. And even though that the play is dealing with some pretty heavy themes of redemption and grief and loss in a lot of ways, it also is a lot about dreams and going for what going for your kind of wildest dreams and imagining yourself in the best possible version of what you think you can achieve. And I just hope that people can have some nice feelings in their heart and in their soul as they watch the characters discover that journey, and also just feel the kind of hug that this music represents, to me at least. And I don't know, I feel like if we were doing a really, really sad play right now, people would be like, dude, I'm already kind of sad. Like, it's been a sad year. So I hope we are part of the healing process for everybody as they slowly but surely come out of this gnarly time. When I'm performing, I definitely, I'm working with some incredibly generous actors in Natalie, Leonard, and David, who are always right there, kind of with you. And so if it's slightly different on any given night, like, they're not forcing it into what they think it should be. They're just responding and reacting to what's kind of present in the moment. And that is always so fun as an actor, to not feel like, your actors are on a hard and fast course. We all know what the story is, and we all know what we need to do up there. But when it when it can be dynamic like that, it's just a joy. And man, the last song in the show is it's a really kind of wonderful, somewhat transcendent moment in the play. But also, I've just heard from the people that have come and seen it that it's a kind of a banger. People are enjoying the performance, and it's getting stuck in people's heads. So the music is also just so fun to do. And you know, for me, like I have a couple little complicated riffs and stuff that when I nail them, great feeling. Great feeling. I think people, you know, I hope people come to Salvage who are looking to return to the theater in a way that will be a kind of warm welcome back to that world, without anything that's gonna, you know, hit you over the head with, you know, intense drama that you're, you know, I just feel like everybody's got so much intense drama in their lives these days, you know, and to be able to return to you know, everybody in the show, everybody in the audience is vaccinated. So even though, you know, the audience is keeping their masks on the whole time, it should be, there hopefully can be some sense of safety there. And so people will feel comfortable coming to see it. But it is, it's just such a lovely play. The script is really well written by our good friend Tim Alderson, and he has written something that is somewhat unique in terms of what I've seen, in that, you know, the music is just such a part of the story. It's not this suspension of disbelief. It is just part of the story. And so you get to watch these musicians play. You don't have to just watch these, you know, people break out into song. And that is, and I love musicals. I'm not trying to, you know, say that is not a viable or incredible theater going experience, but it is a little more unique to have it be more in the world of what's going on. And it's been a joy how people can come and share that with us. It's been definitely a little bit trippy returning to the stage post-pandemic. Absolutely. You know, the first time we had people in for the preview, I was kind of like, oh. Like it took me totally a little bit by surprise. I had to, you know, reconnect to just the words and the people on stage, because it was definitely, you know, kind of in spite of myself, just like, whoa, hello. And so then, you know, kind of after I was able to refocus, it's been a lot better. But it's, you know, it's intense, man. You're not it's been a while, I think, for everybody in the audience, everybody on stage. Like, it's just been a while. So there's definitely a real sense of kind of palpable excitement, but also just like it was definitely a couple like weird things had to get worked out to just like get back to it. But it's been great. It's been super fun. People have been really responding well. So that's been great. I've touched on it a bit, but I think the way the story is structured with the music is definitely a bit unique in terms of the music as part of the story rather than kind of a element of the storytelling. It's really just part of the story, which is a bit unique from my experiences, at least. And I mean, everything is unique right now. It's just nobody's been on stage in so long. You know, there've been some plays going on, but they're, you know, things are going up, and then they're having to maybe be shut down. And so to just have a, you know, run that is going smoothly and is accessible to people is, I think, also just a little unique right now. Local theater is so vital to a community and a community's art scene. You know, growing up, even when I was a kid doing like community theater, you know, and how much fun that was for all of us in the show, but also the amount of people in the community that loved to come and see and support it. And like just the, you know, at the community theater level, just the amount of joy that brings to the amount of people that are touched by that in the show, in the team, the audiences, like, and so when you move up to the more professional regional theaters, like, I just think that scope continues to expand. And if you have people that love theater and love plays, you know, stuff like this that is a little more accessible and is just as kind of exciting as in a lot of cases, you know, the bigger productions or the smaller productions are just, it's so unique, as we said kind of earlier in the conversation. Like, it is this, there's nothing like being in a room with people who are communicating and telling a story in that way and feeling that. And so these theaters like the Hudson that are a little more accessible to people and have such a great kind of intimate space are just, you know, there's nothing like them kind of, you know, in other areas of entertainment. It's super unique. Tim is a dream, man. I mean, he is he worked in the music industry. He has this incredible nonprofit, Seeds of Hope, that was born out of him and his family's farming escapades. But he really he needed to tell this story. You know, there's something special about the story because he isn't a playwright by trade. He hasn't written all these plays. He had these songs that I think are incredibly close. I know from the notes he's given me are incredibly close and near and dear to his heart, but he needed to tell this story. You know, it wasn't, he's not like a writer trying to just say like, look at me, I'm such a great writer. He had this thing he needed to tell, and he's been developing it for, I think, like 20 years or something, 15, 20 years. So it's been, I think, a really amazing process for him. And, you know, you can feel that in the stories, that it is this total labor of love, and it's this total like, you know, it needed to be said. It needed to be told by Tim. And so the just love and care he has for the words is so apparent, but also he's been so good at kind of letting us discover the story for ourselves. And he's been present with us in the room a lot of the time, but he hasn't been overbearing at all. And the times that he has come in and been like, hey, just little adjustment or a little thing to not even adjustment. He's mostly been like, hey, little thing in the script that just want to bring back to your attention. Every time it's always been like, I needed that. Thank you. Not like this overbearing presence of like, it must be what my brain said. Just like, hey, when he does come in, it's been so helpful. So big fan of Tim. Come see Salvage, man. It's such a dream to be back in the theater, and it is such a dream to be able to share it with the community here in Los Angeles. We're all having a blast, and we've gotten some really great feedback, and people seem to be connecting with what we're doing. So I hope people can come check it out.